I do want to share some of my distaste for the whole spectacle. You know, one of these days, eventually I'm going to make a topic or a segment on this show that a lot of people hate. And I kind of wanted to just I want to get it over with already. I want some hate. No, I don't want hate. Don't give me hate. But I kind of want it just to happen already because I'm kind of waiting and I'm nervous. This might be the segment that everyone hates. This might do it. I want to share my honest lack of interest for the whole spectacle that was the Conor McGregor-Mayweather fight. I believe fighting has an inherent problem. This is the reason I will never be a huge fighting fan. Leading up to the fight, there were so many PR stunts. And there had to be. That's the nature of fighting. You have to drum up interest for the match between both guys. That's how fighting works. It's all promotion. And it works really well. People buy tickets. They buy pay-per-views. It works. Boxing's all about drama, creating stories to gather interest. But the car salesman talk really turns me off. All the parties involved were trying to manipulate me. And yeah, that's what happens. That's marketing. I know that. But it's just a bunch of used car salesmen. That's an issue the NFL doesn't have to deal with. The NFL is inherently interesting. The storylines write themselves. And even if they don't, they appear to, right? It appears organic. One of the reasons I don't connect with fighting is because of the transparent marketing. It's not transparent. The obvious marketing. The marketing that's like, dude, we know you're lying. We know you're not old. You know, my buddy's from a small town in Ireland. And ironically, that's where Conor McGregor's from. Regardless, my buddy in Ireland went to go buy a new car. He took his car to trade it in. He took his first old car and wanted to trade it in for a new car. He lives in a small town. And so his dad bought the first car initially. It was his dad's growing up. And he bought it at this same dealership. There's only one dealership in this small town. My buddy went in expecting to get about $4,000 in the trade-in. Now, I have no idea what that means for Ireland. I think they have euros there. I don't know if that's like a ton of money, a lot of money. I have no idea how Ireland works. But when he goes in, the salesman says, I can't do that. I can't give you $4,000. But I remember this car. This is the first car I ever sold. This kickstarted my salesman career. You know what? This car isn't worth $4,000, but I'll buy it from you. Because it has sentimental value to me, I'll buy it from you for $1,500. More than it's worth, I'll help you out. This car is sentimental to me, I'll buy it and I'll put it in my yard. Yeah, you know what happened the very next day? My buddy's driving his brand new car from the grocery store and guess what he sees? He sees his old car with the dealership sticker still in the back being driven by an old lady. See, that salesman did everything in his power to make sure it would end up best for him. He took my buddy's car and resold it to an old lady after lying to keep the price down. Now, my buddy's an idiot. You shouldn't ever trust a car salesman. They're like the devil. But Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor aren't that far off. Leading up to the fight, Floyd Mayweather, a guy who thinks really highly of himself, was quoted saying he was old and he lost a step. Does anyone believe that? Are you serious? Or all the leaks. You know that leak where Dana White leaked a video with Conor McGregor boxing Paulie Malignaggi. Even the way the fight ended felt like it was chosen best for PR. Conor lasting 10 rounds and having the fight called early before getting knocked out, that's perfect. That works best for everyone involved. Everyone wins. But personally, the way fights are marketed, and I know that's best for the sport, but the way fights are marketed just drive me crazy. We do all these things and it's best for revenue. I know that. This felt like a middling Marvel movie. Like its purpose was just to set up the next one. Conor McGregor is perfectly set up for another fight. I just don't want to partake in any of it. My content's driven by the audience. So if people want to hear my thoughts about the next Conor McGregor fight, I'll engage. Hell, I even like Conor. He appears like the kind of guy who might get into a bar fight. You know, he once tried plumbing for a day. I find that relatable. I was almost a pipe fitter. The image of Conor McGregor that is sold to me is interesting. And he does a great job playing his part. He sells his shtick really well. I know fighting isn't going to change, nor should it. It works. They make a ton of money. And I know I don't want to sound ignorant. I know all marketing is inauthentic on some level, but this fight, it felt like the promoters and storytellers for Mayweather and McGregor, they didn't even try to pretend. This whole charade was to drum up interest and then sell tickets, and that's how it works. It's more showmanship than sport. There's nothing wrong with showmanship. It just doesn't connect with me. It's not as sticky. Like what happens when Dana White retires from the UFC? Fighting is far too dependent on fabricated storylines. I prefer football. Even if all the storylines are created by the media, I prefer that. At least it feels organic. With fighting, it's some guy, and this probably did happen. Some guy probably sat down in a room months ago and said, on this date, Conor says this. On this date, Floyd says this. On this date, Dana, you leak this footage. On this date, you go to Jimmy Kimmel and say this thing. It feels all scripted. It doesn't feel organic, and it's not organic. The fight was legitimate. I'm not saying that at all. I know the fight was real. That's not my point, but come on. There had to be a plan for the later rounds. If we get into round 10, Conor makes it, then we'll call it if he gets close. If he's looking dizzy, we'll just call it. For marketing, it's better if the fight ends that way. Is that possible? I feel crazy. Like, am I just alone? Is it just me that feels that way? But that's part of the problem. I don't trust anyone involved who talks about the fight. They're all used car salesmen, and I try not to associate myself with those guys. When I can't believe what anyone is saying, it feels like PR, and it wears me out in politics. I'd rather not deal with that in sports. I don't want to have this lack of trust. I prefer authenticity. There's a reason I'm not into the WWE. Two guys yelling at each other to sell tickets, basically performing. That's not for me. I have no interest. I prefer paying attention to Kyrie Irving leaving Cleveland or talk about Tom Brady. I'm just not that attracted to the inauthentic nature of fight promotion. Even if they're not, I prefer storylines that at least appear organic. It doesn't have to actually be, but just at least try to trick me into thinking it's organic. I'm going to take a short break, grab some water, help my throat. When I return, I want to talk about some NFL storylines.